Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 3 of Rovers Rambles. As always, I am joined by Jaimie. Good afternoon, Jaimie. How's your week been?
Long, but yeah, thank you for having me back.
Yeah, I've heard you've had a bit of a nightmare in terms of uni assignments this
Oh
week.
yeah, oh
So,
yes.
but are you towards the end of them now?
Yeah, finished them now. They went in
Oh, well,
about
that's
an hour
good
ago.
then. Yeah, well, that's good. And straight off of the uni assignments, in to talk about Rovers. Of course, we'll touch on our final game of the season against Notts County in a bit, but we're going to start with Cheltenham. What a day! 4-0, 8 wins in a row. I mean, I feel bad for you because you weren't there. Wow, what a day!
Yeah, well, I feel bad for myself. I said it last week that it's one I'm pretty gutted to be missing, and that's exactly why. Because I knew something like that could have been on the cards. I mean, I know my prediction didn't exactly come to fruition. I said they were going to score first, and that got put to bed in what was it, about 90 seconds.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, what a performance! It was pretty comfortable from start to finish, as much as certain managers might try and say otherwise. Um, yeah, no, it was all round just very, very comfortable, very solid, very impressive.
That was very impressive. Yeah, I think it was important to start fast. I think obviously you touched on it. We scored within what was it, 90 seconds? It was the second minute definitely, so probably something like that.
Mm.
What first corner of the game, ball in. Ellis Harrison gets the flick on with the header. Beautiful finish, really, and puts us 1-0 up very early on. And I thought, it was just good to get that early start, sort of make Cheltenham chase the game, because I would say, obviously, we're talking about how dominant we were, but maybe from 10 minutes on in the first half, Cheltenham were probably slightly better. Obviously, they didn't do much with it, but still, if it was 0-0, that gives them a lot more impetus to go forward in the game than if it's 1-0 early on. And I think that's why it was very good that we got off to that quick start.
Yeah, I don't know if dominant's the word I'd use. I think comfortable is probably the more suitable word, because yeah, part of the reason why I thought why I predicted that they'd take the lead in the game was because it was a big occasion for them. They had a big turnout for their standards, and I kind of assumed they kind of ride off the back of that, and that's why it was so important to get that first goal, because we just killed that dead from the off. And
Yeah,
I mean, I don't. You'll have a better idea of that than I will, because obviously I wasn't there. But from the sounds of it, they were kind of just knocked dead pretty early on.
yeah, I think it was one of those where even with the fact that they started getting a hold in the game, I think you knew the fact that we had that one goal. We're quite good at sort of protecting that at the moment and building on like leads. So to get that early on, like you said, it just sort of knocked the stuffing out of Cheltenham. I mean, they took a while to recover. Obviously, they did eventually, and we did have to deal with some pressure at the end of the first half. But I think it could have been a very different game if that goal hadn't happened. If we were going in, towards half time at 0-0, could Cheltenham have maybe had a lucky break and made it 1-0 going into half time? Then it's a completely different game. But it was just a nerve settler. I think we did look pretty good for maybe 10 minutes after that goal, so it just sort of sucked a bit of life out of Cheltenham as well, and made it a bit more difficult for them to recover, which they did somewhat, but they didn't really look ever like a proper threat going forwards, which is, I think, what you're trying to get at. Like, there was obviously a few shaky moments, and they did have the majority possession and all this, which I know Steve Cottrell was very eager to point out. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, they never really looked like a massive threat afterwards. And I think that's the thing that we're so good at, is nullifying the threat. When we score goals, it also just takes a bit of the threat out of the other team. And I know that sounds self-explanatory, but how many times have we seen it this season where we scored goals and then we just let the other team come back into the game really quickly? But we're using goals now as a platform to build on the rest of the performance, and I think that's a very good sign.
yeah, it is. I mean, this is an issue that goes back a long way further than this season. The amount of times I've seen us dominate a game, take the lead, and then it's like watching two completely different sides with the way we drop off. But no, we got that early goal. We, like you said, they were almost, as much as they were on the ball a lot, they were very dampened. They didn't really have a whole lot going for them. To be honest, you said it could have been a different game. It could have been a different game the other way. I mean, that 10-15 minute spell after we scored, there were chances.
Yeah.
With, again, Ellis Harrison at the heart of everything. I mean, obviously the focus of his performance is going to go down to the goals, but all round, he was at the centre of everything we did.
Oh, 100%. I would argue
even,
that's probably his best performance for Rovers this season.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think, even the first goal comes from a corner that I believe I'm right in saying he won it as well.
I think it might have been Shaq that won it. I'm not 100% sure.
Either him or Shaq.
It was him or Shaq, yeah.
I'd need to watch it back. But
either way, I think he was involved in the build-up. I think it might have come to him and then he played it wide to Shaq. I can't quite remember.
Him and Shaq were involved. One of them played it to the other, who won the corner. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But no, on the whole, yeah, Ellis Harrison was involved in everything. It was a sign of what was to come. I mean, he had another chance pretty shortly after, if I remember correctly, where he could have made it 2 early on. And then obviously eventually he does get that reward. But all round, as much as they did grow into the game, we never really just felt a threat. We always felt like we were the ones who could spring something if we needed to.
No, 100%. It didn't feel dangerous, I think is the right word to use. It didn't feel dangerous at any point. And how often have we seen it with Rovers where we go in front early on and the game just feels dangerous? You know, even if, you know, the other team have the possession, they're not really doing anything with it like Cheltenham did. Just the fact that they've got that possession, you worry that something could come of it eventually. But the way that Rovers are playing right now, Cheltenham had all this possession. They had a few chances. Granted, they weren't very good ones, but they still had chances. And yet, at no point did I really think, yeah, well, Cheltenham are destined to get a goal in this game. I thought it could happen. Obviously, you never know what can happen in football. But you still back the lads to, you know, if not, you know, get another goal, which thankfully did happen in the first half. Just grind it out to 1-0 and then we can go in the second half from there. And I think that's one of the biggest positive aspects of Rovers at the moment is just their ability to, you know, not necessarily take a game by the scruff of the neck, because that would be going on and scoring more goals, but just, you know, being comfortable in a game, you know, controlling the game and making it suit us.
Yeah, and as much as they didn't have a shot on target in that first half, but it would be unfair to say they didn't cause us problems. I think particularly down that right-hand side, they got in down there a few times. I think there was one in particular that they put right across the face of goal.
Yeah.
That was dangerous. But yeah, again, like you said, it's just taking that sting out of things, which isn't something that we've really been used to at this club for a long time. And it's again, I used the term confidence breeds confidence last week. That's the kind of thing. We don't feel nervous anymore, and that's come as a byproduct of the fact that we've been so successful over the past couple of weeks, couple of months now. I mean, obviously, this is now our best winning run, and I don't even know how long. It was 73 years before this game.
It still is. Yeah.
But that is what a good winning run can bring to you. We just look a completely different side, physically and mentally.
And I think we've just seen the successes of the recent weeks and months, and we just know that they have it in the locker to, you know, grind out tough results, you know, keep going and it does help settle the nerves. You know, obviously, I keep making the point, if we'd have played that Cheltenham game in December, we just didn't have that killer instinct. We didn't know how to see a game out. We just looked weak and all this, and you would have thought, yeah, right, well, Cheltenham are, you know, getting back on top here. They've got some possession. This is going to turn into chances soon. We'll be lucky to see this game out. But now you're comfortable. You don't have any doubt in your mind. And that is the sort of atmosphere that a winning run can breed.
Yeah, no, 100%, yeah. And again, that then gets exemplified when we go and get that second. I said it a second ago.
Yeah.
Even though they were the ones on the ball more, it felt like we were the ones where if we needed that second goal, we'd be the ones to go and get it. And we did.
And I think it came at a perfect time as well. Right before half-time, obviously, we were 1-0 up and it looked like we were going to go 1-0 up. But like with Cheltenham having the possession and then not the majority of chances, but more chances, you know, in that sort of last 10, 15 minutes than we did, you know, it sort of felt like if you could just get that second goal, that would suck all the momentum out of Cheltenham. And I thought even if we get it early on in the second half, that would do us well. But we managed to get it right at the end before half-time. A long throw again from Kofi Balmer. I mean, he's just deadly with the long throws. When he gets them right, it caused a bit of, you know, a nightmare in the box for the Cheltenham defence. You saw it; they were flailing trying to head it clear, And eventually it just falls to Ellis Harrison, who gets his head on it again for his second goal of the afternoon, making it 2-0 just before half-time. And I do think it was an important moment to score that second goal. I mean, obviously, you trusted that Rovers would get the job done from 1-0, but there were obviously, with it being a tight game and Cheltenham having some of the possession, there were still some nerves. So it was nice to just completely settle them and put them to bed, because you thought at 2-0, there's no way they get back into it.
Yeah. And I mean, the goal itself, that's the sign of an experienced striker, because you want to gamble on those all the time. In reality, there's no way that Ellis Harrison should be winning that header, let alone getting it on target well enough that it will cause a problem. But
well, it shouldn't have even come to him in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
The defending was poor. They had a good 2 or 3 attempts to clear it out, and it sort of just went sort of up and then back and found Ellis. It was lucky it found him. And obviously, like you said, he gambled well. And that's a sign of an experienced striker. He knows when to gamble, and it's paid off, and he's got another goal.
Yeah, but no, there's no understating how important that goal could have been. Because if you go into halftime at 1-0, Cheltenham will think, oh, we conceded as early on as we did, but we've come in at halftime with a game still to play for.
Yeah.
They come out with that bit between their teeth. A goal right before halftime just kills that dead. Again, for the second time in the game, we've killed them dead at the perfect time. We did it early on, and we did it right at the end of the half. And there's little moments that will make such a big difference.
Exactly. It's no understating how much 2-0 improves on 1-0. I mean, it sounds self-obvious, but once you get that second goal, you've got that buffer, then you can afford having a little bit of a slip down in the second half. Obviously, we didn't, but it's the sort of principle. You can play worse in the second half and still have the knowledge that they've got to score 2 goals just to draw. We've got time to get back into the game, you know. It is just a safety net, and it makes you feel better about the way that the game's going. Of course, you could flip it on its head with Cheltenham. You were talking about how, you know, it sucks, you know, the life out of, well, we're only 1-0 down, we've been playing. The reverse psychology of that, if we go in 1-0, we're thinking, oh, well, all right, we're 1-0 up, but we've not played amazingly since the goal. Cheltenham have got the majority of the possession, the majority of the chances. Again, not great chances, but they did. And that can, you know, sit at the back of your mind, and that might affect the performance in the second half. Where you go in at 2-0, you're then thinking, right, well, we've not played amazing in this half, and Steve probably said that, you've not played great. But you have that buffer now, and you can go out in the second half and put the performance right. And if you've managed to score 2 goals in the first half, if you get the performance right in the second, why can't you go on and score more? And I think it is the mentality shift that extra goal can give you just right before half-time when you need it can be huge.
Yeah, 100%. And with, obviously, the way that we've been playing, had we gone in at half-time 1-0 up, I still would have backed us to see it out. But it is just that extra little safety blanket to kind of take any of the doubt out of the equation.
Yeah,
the second we go 2-0 up, obviously, there is still a game to play for at 2-0. But I think pretty much everyone in the ground knew when we went 2-0 up, it was as good as done from that point on.
Yeah.
Consider the way that the two sides have been playing coming into today.
I think it was sort of, maybe there were a few Cheltenham fans that, you know, still held out hope, but I think the majority of Gasheads knew that it was over at 2-0. I think most Gasheads thought if we got the first goal, that would be it. But obviously 2-0, it's pretty much guaranteed. And I think most Cheltenham fans then probably even themselves thought, right, well, this is a bit too much of a mountain to climb. It does completely shift, you know, the picture. Obviously, we were pretty positive going into halftime with having the lead, but, you know, then knowing that you've pretty much got the 3 points, it makes that sort of halftime break just that little bit more special, and especially for the players as well. And that's, you know, confidence be confidence, as you said.
Yeah. And yeah, from that point on, you think the game's done at 2-0. You don't really need to go out and do anything. All you really want to do is go out and just put that bit of icing on the cake. And if you're going to do that, there's a way to do it.
Oh, well, there is a way to do that. And we'll get onto that now. Ellis Harrison not only scoring a goal from about 35, 40 yards out, lobbing Joe Day, saw him off his line. It was a pretty poor defending from Cheltenham to give it away, but still a beautiful finish from Ellis. And not only was it a beautiful finish, it was his hat-trick. And I think that's the first time he scored a hat-trick for Rovers since Northampton Town at home in 2017, which, yeah. And I also believe it's the first time that someone scored a hat-trick at the Men for Rovers since Johnston Clark Harris against Blackpool in 2019. So a bit of a history-making moment there for Ellis, and very nice to see him get a hat-trick.
Yeah, I saw that stat the other day that we hadn't had a hat trick in the men for a while, and that was really surprising to me. I had it in my head that Aaron Collins had got one, but obviously I know he got one against Rochdale away from home.
Yeah.
But I had it in my head that he had got one at home. I think he got quite a few races, but yeah, apparently never managed to get the thirds. But yeah, if you're gonna break that duck of hat tricks, there's a way to do it. And to be perfectly honest, you'll have a better idea of this again because you were there. The TV cameras didn't really pick it up too well. How far off his line was Joe Day? Because I'll be honest, he doesn't actually look like he's too far out of position.
I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't actually really see where Joe Day was. I was looking more at Ellis, when he picks up the ball. I would say maybe about sort of 6 yards. He wasn't that far off his line, really. I don't think.
That's my point.
It's slightly poor from him, to be honest. But, Ellis is that type of striker. When he sees the space, he'll go for it.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, you see the way, as soon as Ellis gets the ball, he looks up and immediately goes to shoot. And I think from that, I can't see the keeper at this point. And I'm thinking, he's going to be sat on the edge of his box and he's going to catch him out. And then the camera turns and he's inside his 6-yard box.
Yeah.
But the ball's in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, I mean, obviously the finish is going to get credit because it's from 40, 45 odd yards out. But I think it's an even better finish than it's going to get credit for because it's a lob. You almost think, has the keeper done something wrong? But I think that's a really much more difficult finish even than it looks.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not 100% sure how far he was off his line because I think I was chatting to one of my mates and I sort of turned around and saw Ellis take the shot. So like I sort of missed the build up slightly. I only saw it on the highlights. I saw the actual goal go in, but I only saw like Ellis take the shot. I didn't see and I didn't see where Joe Day was. So I'm not 100% sure, but from the highlights, it did look like he was relatively close to his line. Obviously, he's got to be off it somewhat to even, attempt the lob. But, it makes it a much better finish than people would realise. Obviously, it's already a brilliant finish. From that far distance to get it into the net, it is impressive. But if he's only, say, like 6 to 12 yards off his line, the precision you have to have on that as well to get it not only over the keeper but into the net is brilliant.
Yeah, he's not just hit the target as well. He's put it in the far corner.
Yeah,
it's a really, really good finish, and it's going to get credit. But I think it still even deserves more than it's going to get. And
yeah,
I think that just again encapsulates his performance. I think his entire performance deserves more credit than it's going to get.
Yeah, definitely.
He was the best player on the pitch by an absolute country mile from start to finish.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And I mean, it's some way to round off your hat trick, isn't it? I mean, a hat trick is a special achievement as it is, but to secure it in that way, wow.
Yeah, no, special. I mean, this is his third hat trick for the club, second in the Football League. His first was in that season down in the conference.
Yeah, that was the FA Cup qualifier, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't remember who it was against.
Dorchester.
That's the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, great moment for him, and yeah, it's a sign of the way he's been playing recently as well. I mean, I'm gonna say it's a sign of the way he's played all season. I mean, I was one of the people. There was a lot of questions when he came back in because I think a lot of people had it in their head that he was going to come in and be like a first choice striker, and I was saying back at the time, I don't know why you're criticising the signing with that idea in your head. He's clearly coming in to be a second choice, and to be honest, he's not really been a second choice because his performances haven't merited being a second choice. He's earned his way into this side, and he's earned his way into being a pretty integral part of our season.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the last couple of weeks. I mean, obviously everyone's played a lot better, but you can definitely see the step up. And I think, has he scored 7 goals in 7 games now? Obviously,
I think so, yeah.
3 of those came on Saturday, so it does stat pad it out slightly, but still, that's an impressive return. I think he's scored 13 goals now all season. And for someone who was meant to come in and be, just a second choice, impact off the bench, that is a good return. He must be our second top goal scorer now behind Cav. I think Cav got 15. So
Something like that. I think
Yeah.
it might
So
be slightly more.
considering, like you said, he was brought in to be that second choice, he's had a very good impact, a very good return. And I do think we should keep him on for at least another year. I think he would definitely have a part to play in the squad next season.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as well, something he's probably not going to get the credit for because of the way we've turned our season around and we've kind of avoided danger. He scored some goals at pretty pivotal moments. I think back to earlier in the season. I mean, he scored the winner in our first win of the season to break that duck that we had at the very beginning.
Yeah.
That Newport game early on was a pretty big game at the time, and he scored in that game.
The third goal.
Yeah, he got the third in that.
Yeah, and that
game.
was a lot more important than we thought it would be, because obviously at 3-0 you think, right, well that's it, and then it ended up being 3-2. So that goal could have been the difference between, us winning that game and getting a point. And obviously I don't think it would have made much difference now with how we've been over the last month or two. But in an alternate reality, that point could have been huge.
Yeah, no, he's popped up. I mean, again, it hasn't really panned out that way, but he has popped up at the moments that at the time we needed him.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think then from that moment on, Cheltenham, they had some foothold in the game in the first half. But I think as soon as that third goal went in, that was them done, dead and buried. And it sort of reflected in the way that we sort of, we just sort of sat off a little bit. It looked comfortable, but we didn't really do much until that last 10 minutes of the game. Of course, we all know what happened. Steve Evans kept his word, went in the Thatchers. That was brilliant. And he was rewarded with a goal in front of him. It was pretty decent work, actually. I remember, I think it was Tommy Lee picked up the ball, got it into the box on the left-hand side. He flicked it up to Joe Quigley. And I think Joe Quigley was trying to head it, towards the goal, but inadvertently got a brilliant flick on and found Shaq Ford, who was on the right-hand side, right place, right time, and just stormed in and got that fourth goal. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you might know, you might not, but I think that's the first time in 129 games that we've scored 4 goals. I think it might be the first time since Rochdale away, which is ridiculous. Not Rochdale, sorry, Scunthorpe.
At home, I think so. I'm thinking, did we not put 4 past Cheltenham in a game away?
Oh, yeah, we did, yeah. I think you're right. So it must be that then, because I think that was the last time we scored 4 goals.
Off the top of my head, that's the last time I can remember. Yeah. I mean, coincidentally, it's against Cheltenham as well.
I know, yeah. They must hate us.
We were talking about Ellis Harrison's third goal and people not really seeing that one. How many people do you think in the Thatchers completely missed that fourth goal because they were preoccupied?
Yeah, I think quite a few. I mean, I missed the good 2 minutes of the game just from watching where Steve was. I didn't get right in amongst it, unfortunately. I did think about it, but I think the opportunity passed me up.
But then I turned in there. He got swarmed, the poor bloke.
Yeah. Well, can you blame the fans? To be fair, I mean, the turnaround. We'll get onto it, but it's just been insane what he's done with this club. But yeah, obviously, I think I turned around about a minute, 30 seconds before the fourth goal happened. I think a lot of people were still sort of, preoccupied with Steve, and I turn around and see that I think it was from a break, wasn't it? And I see, oh hello, we might be in here, and then obviously it transpires that we, get towards Shaq and it goes in. And I'm happy for Shaq to get another goal because I think that's a good reward for the effort that he's put in over the last couple of weeks, especially, since that Bromley sending off. I think the away one especially, this is what I mean, because he was getting a bit more stick, obviously, for, he'd been doing so well, and then, he gets that disciplinary issue again, and he's bounced back from it, even better this time. So you've got to say fair play to him for that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if there's something I'm missing here, but is that Shaq's first league goal at the Men this season? I feel like
no,
he
scored 2 against Chesterfield, I think.
Oh yeah, of course he did. Yeah,
but
I had it in my head. There was one I was missing. I couldn't put a team to it.
No, he scored the 2 against Chesterfield.
He was over the moon with it. You can tell, and it's a very good finish. At the time when I first saw it, I thought he put it in the far corner, and that's the finish that made sense from that position. But it's watching it back, he's reversed it into that near post. It's actually a very tidy finish.
Yeah, and
he's rushing out at him.
I can't quite remember. I don't think it was quite first time, but it was very quick that he took it. He had to get it down under control very quickly, and he's done very well, like you said, to find that near post. It's a very well taken goal, which can get lost a little bit, obviously, with the context of Steve being in the Thatchers and us already being 3-0 up and all this. It's sort of take your eye off the ball of like actually watching the game a little bit. But yeah, it was a very good finish, and I think a goal worthy of topping off the display. 4-0, it was just mental.
Yeah, all round. I mean, yeah, it's another one I'm gutted to miss. But I mean, I've missed a lot of games this season. There's not really been too many that I've been too gutted to miss with the way that our season's gone in the early stages. But yeah, all round, just there's really no complaints you could have. I can't really think of any talking points that I'd be coming in now saying, oh, it's a shame we didn't do this. It's a shame we didn't do that. We've got the result done very comprehensively. We've had an incredible moment with that Thatcher's end towards the end of the game. Everything's just very high spirits at the moment.
It just feels like the sort of game that only comes round every so often, and when it does come round, it's very special and you enjoy it. And that's the sense that I got with that game, not only because of everything surrounding it with, the fans. Shout out the fans, by the way, 11,200 or something in there. Obviously, 1,000 of that was Cheltenham fans, but still, it was sold out. The noise. I mean, I've been complaining a lot about the MEM atmosphere this year. It's not been anywhere near as good as it has been in the past, and I've wanted to see, just moments like that for ages. Obviously, I will cut us some slack because of how terrible we were performing, but it was so loud and rocking from minute 1 to minute 90. Obviously, it helped we scored early, but even still, it was just such a special place to be on Saturday. And I feel like if we can keep this momentum going, obviously, I trust us to do it with Steve and Paul and this group of lads. The MEM could be such a special place next season.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. It's a bit of a slap in the face because I know there was a little crowd of people who, after that Fleetwood game where we got the numbers in, were saying, oh, we can only get the numbers because of the gimmick. Season ticket holders bring a friend for free. And we've got rid of the gimmick and we sold even more tickets.
Yeah.
We've sold the place out, got some more added on and sold them out as well. And
yeah.
I mean, that's carried on. We've sold out Notts County this weekend.
Yeah, we have actually, yeah.
Is that what, 1,800, I think is what they
Something like that, yeah. I don't think it's as big an allocation as you usually get for Notts, because obviously they're
a little bit stubborn with it, aren't they?
Yeah, because of all the stuff that they can do over the weekend. But we'll touch on that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think next season, it's all about how we get started. If we can start well, I feel like again that confidence breeds confidence. Saying I feel like we can just ride that wave. But we just got to get going at the very start. If we falter a little bit at the start, that's when things will get difficult. But if we can just hit the ground running, I don't see us stopping.
I think that's one reason why I quite like the first game of next season to be at home. Just obviously that atmosphere. It was. I mean, obviously it was that good with nothing riding on it. I know it's the first game of the season, but you've got stuff to play for at the start of the season. But it could make the atmosphere even better and, just push those lads forward, because as much as they have been, amazing on the pitch, and you can't, the fans, especially the last couple, have really been that 12th man that have just pushed them forward. And, it sounds cliche, but fans really are a big part of a successful season. And I mean, I just really want to see the MEM like that more often next season.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, we've definitely got to be that 12th man next year, because there's going to be a lot of pressure on us now. The expectation has gone up a lot. I don't know if you would have come across this on TikTok over the week, because I don't think it was the biggest TikTok in the world, but there was a guy who made a 5 hot takes for the EFL next season.
Yes, that Harry something, the Northampton fan, Whitworth, something like that. Yeah. I saw that one. 100 points. Yeah.
So the expectations have gone up. I certainly think if you go back a couple months and you say if Bristol Rovers stay in the league, where people would have been predicting us to finish next season at that point, now it seems like most people have got us as one of the favourites again.
Yeah.
So there's definitely going to be an extra bit of pressure added on, but that's where we can step in to kind of be just that little force who can help override that.
And I do think rightfully so. Obviously, we're talking about how, the favourites label has come on to us so quickly. I mean, with the way we've been playing, rightfully so. I mean, if we keep the core of our squad, recruit well, we've got an incredible manager. Rightfully so, I think we should, if not be favourites for the title, then at least be favourites to finish in the top 3. But like you said, it does put that extra pressure onto us next season, and it'll be interesting to see how the lads cope with it. I mean, they had the pressure enough as it was of getting us away from, potentially going out of the league. That is pressure. It's a different type of pressure, but it's still pressure. And I do think that might stand us in good stead, that the lads have experience of facing adversity, of facing pressure, and that can be something they can use as a lesson to take into next season.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. But yeah, no, that will be, I think, pretty pivotal, that we've been through those times where we've had a lot on our backs and we've come out the other side of it. Because that is the situation we're going to find ourselves in next year, in hopefully a different sense. You'd like to think a very different sense.
Yeah,
but
obviously.
At the end of the day, the aims, as much as the aims are different, the environment's the same.
Yeah, 100%. I think pressure is similar. Obviously, the objectives, like you said, are different. But the environment that the lads have been under over the last couple of months, they've had the pressure of, maybe with the exception of the last couple of weeks, they've been able to play with a bit of freedom. But they've had the pressure of, playing for a club that should not be down in this echelon of the league, and trying to get them away from it. And they've dealt with it so well. And I think obviously it's a different scenario, but pressure is similar, no matter where you flip it. And I think that is a lesson they can take into next season. I think as well with the momentum, I think that's another big thing. And that's why I'm glad we've not taken our foot off the gas. No pun intended, but towards the end of the season, and obviously once we were safe after Fleetwood, and once that had happened, we could have very easily just decided, right, well, the season's over now. Let's just, roll over. We've got nothing to play for, might as well. But we've kept these wins ticking on. And, even like the teams we were sort of expected, in air quotes, to win against, like Harrogate, Tranmere, Crawley. But then we've played, Cheltenham aren't a fantastic team, but, with the context of, what's happened with the Hutchinson situation and all this, it being a local derby. I don't really see it as a derby, but a lot of people do. All the stick they were giving us about finishing above them and all of this, it still could have been a very easy potential banana slip. And we've come out the other end of it very well. We just were professional throughout. And I've got to say it, we're guaranteed to finish above Cheltenham now. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, there was certainly a time not too long ago where that was only a dream. So the fact that we've managed to wrap that up with still a game in the season to go is, pretty impressive all round. I mean, I think I remember Steve Evans said something similar. This is the way we're playing at the moment. It's the kind of time that you want a 60-game season.
Yeah.
You chuck on a number of fixtures, you play every team 3 times, and we're looking at getting promoted.
He was talking about how he wishes the owner was Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And just extend the season at a whim. It would be nice.
He's got some strange analogies, Steve.
He does have some strange analogies, but why not?
Love him for it.
Yeah. I also want to point out as well, I was talking about how we are guaranteed to finish above Cheltenham. This is the last thing before we move on to the Notts County preview, but I was looking at the table. We're guaranteed to finish no lower than 15th now. I think Fleetwood are a point below us. We overtook them on Saturday. We're 14th. Accrington then are 7 or 8 points behind us. So the fact that we, from where we've come from, the fact that we are guaranteed to finish no lower than 15th, we're at the moment 22 points. Might even be more, but I'm for a fact we're at least 22 points away from that bottom 2. We're closer to the playoffs now than we are the relegation zone. When we've been down in that sort of area for 2/3 of the season, the fact that we're closer to the playoffs now, I mean, that it's just insane. We're also on 60 points. 61.
Yeah, ridiculous.
You would never have thought we'd get to even 50 with the way we were playing, let alone 60. It's mental.
I find that really, really interesting, actually, the fact that 15th is now our worst case scenario, because when we got that first win under Steve Evans, I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. You'll learn very quickly listening to this podcast. I have the worst memory in the world. But I remember when we got that first win under Steve Evans, I remember saying, if we can put some form together, maybe with a bit of luck, we can scrape 15th this season. And the fact that that's now our worst case scenario is pretty special. As much as, again, it'll feel a bit weird to consider it special when our aims were so much higher at the start of the season. With the way that things have panned out, that is pretty remarkable.
You've just got to put it into the context of the season, haven't you? And we've got to be under no illusions that this is still a poor season and there's lessons to be learned. But from where we've come from to finish this high, again, it's not acceptable, but it could have been so much worse. I've said this about 7 times on this podcast, but it is so true. This season could have just been so much worse. So to finish it how we have, you've just got to take what you can get and then keep building for next season.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we will. I think the confidence is up now.
Yeah, 100%. So that's the Cheltenham review. What a game. But we're looking now to make it 9 wins in a row to end off the season. And our final task this season is an away trip to Notts County. It's going to be probably our toughest game for a solid month and a half. Of course, Notts County, I think they're currently 5th on 79 points. They still have a chance of finishing in the top 3 if they beat us and results go their way. But boy, would I love to spoil their party.
Yeah, there's no chance of them dropping out, is there? I think they've pulled clear.
No, yeah, I think it's playoffs guaranteed. But then they could for top 3.
Sixth can still drop out, can't they? I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how the shape. Actually, I'm not sure because I think Grimsby might be 6th and they're guaranteed. I think it might only be 7th that's up for grabs now.
Is it? Yeah, because they're playing each other, aren't they? Swindon and Chesterfield.
Chesterfield, yeah.
Yeah. So Notts County will still have something to play for, but they've not been playing like a team that's chasing automatics recently. I mean, if you look at the 2 sides, we've been the team that have shown that kind of ambition, even though we're nowhere near it.
Yeah,
that's what they've put forward. But I think the thing I'm most interested for going into this game is, I mean, we spoke about it just a second ago about how we've never really put our feet up this season, even when we've been on the beach.
Yeah,
it's kind of a tradition. Last game of the season, you give some people a run out. I'm quite interested to see if we are going to stick to our strengths or if we are going to kind of ease off a little bit. The team selection is something I am really intrigued to see coming into this.
Yeah, I would hope that we don't. I mean, obviously, I know it sounds a bit harsh. You've got those players that might be on loan that aren't ever going to play again, and you've got a few academy lads and all this. But I think, just strangely, I want to go, even though obviously we'd have to roll into next season, I want to go after that record winning run. Obviously, we're at 8 at the moment. We need to get to 13 to break the new record. I just want...
That's my first time hearing that.
Yeah, it's 12 is the current record, yeah. I just want to see us go for it. Obviously, I think Steve has showed his philosophy, to being on the beach is nothing is a dead rubber in football. Obviously, this is going to sound like the most, on the beach statement ever, but we've still got 13th to play for. You want to just finish the season as well as you can, get as high as you can. And, we're on the crest of a wave. We might as well ride it for as long as we can. And I think if we, don't tamper with the side too much, I mean, make some changes, because I think our bench is strong enough that we can do that. But, keep the same core of the squad together for the last game of the season. Go out there, try and spoil Notts County's fun, get that 9th win in a row. I think we are definitely... I forgot to mention this during the Cheltenham bit. We are 100%, you know this now, we're 100% the longest winning run in the EFL, but I'm pretty sure we're joint in the whole of English football with Villa, if I'm not wrong. I think Villa have 8 as well.
Villa went on that really long run.
Yeah.
Start of the season, didn't they?
So I want us to be better. I want us to be the best team in the whole 92 for winning runs this season. I want us to maybe hit 9. I just want us to go out and play well. And I do think Steve is the type of manager that will want us to do that. And for that reason, I don't think he'll tamper much with the squad. I know what you're saying about, like, the last game of the season, but I think we've never quite had a last game of the season where we've come in like this in the form that we're on.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, we've never. Well, I'm not entirely sure when the run ended in the 50s, but I don't think it was the last game of the season. So we've never come into the last game of the season with this good form. And Steve is the type of manager who will want to keep that going, and that's why I think we'll play relatively strong 11 on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I mean, Steve Evans isn't the kind of manager who wants to be on the beach. If he did, he would have taken that trip to the Maldives. But sorry, I had to get that one off. But yeah, I think the only change I could see us making, and this is a bit of like a sentimental one, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lockyer start, because I have a very strong feeling that this might be his last game for the club now. I don't know if you saw the interview this morning. I said
no, I hadn't actually.
I said it in the group chat we're in. It was a very nice. It was only a short interview clip. It was a very nice clip about him talking about his whole family being gasheads. But it felt like the kind of high spirits, good feels kind of clip you give a club legends before they go on their way.
Yeah,
it felt very much like he was going to be on his way. I could be completely wrong. I'm someone who's of the opinion if he wants to stick around, we should let him stick around for one more year.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think there's a few players like that sort of. We were talking about Harrison, like the Lockyer, the Harrison type, that might not be at the peak of their powers. They're not like world beaters, but they're good options to have. And if you've got them at the club, you can tie them down. You might as well keep them on. And I agree with you. I think if we can get Lockyer down for another year, we should.
Because I mean, he obviously we don't know exactly how he's feeling, but he seems pretty content in his role, considering his game time has been very limited. He's not exactly complained with that. I think he's someone who's just happy to still have a place in the game.
Yeah, that's very true.
That very nearly wasn't the case for a long time. That wasn't the case because of obviously what happened with him. I think it's a case of it. It's just what he wants to do. If he wants to go, he'll go. But I think if he wants to stay, we should give him the right to, because he's the kind of face you want around. He knows this club inside and out. He's a natural born leader. He's the kind of person you want around this football club leading forward, even if he's not getting on the pitch. And even if he does have to come in and do a job, he's the kind of player you do trust to do a job every now and again.
Yeah, well, you've seen it a few times this season. I think the best example was the Shrewsbury game on New Year's Day, where he comes into CDM, and I've never seen him play there, and he just comes in, gets involved, gets stuck in, puts a shift in, and he's the sort of player that will just, the manager gives him a brief, and he'll go and put that brief into action to the best of his ability. He's a team player. You can see that and like you said, he's got a connection to Rovers. So if he wants to stay, I agree with you. Let him stay, because I think he's a very valuable person to have in a camp, and especially a winning camp. Maybe not obviously with how he's the last couple of years have gone for him, but he has experience of winning, of course, with getting Luton to the Prem and all this. He knows what it's like to win in football. And you need characters in any winning dressing room. You need characters who have been there before. Obviously, you don't want to build an entire 11 of just old hags who have like won everything in the past. But you need those experienced heads in there to just sort of that know what they're doing. And I think Lockyer could be one of them now. I mean, it's crazy considering from when I first watched Lockyer to now call him an experienced head. But that is the point that we've got to.
Yeah, I mean, he knows how to win. I mean, you said it there. I mean, you go back to when Luton got promoted to the Premier League. Obviously, the focus with the playoff final was obviously what happened to him right at the beginning of it. But I mean, you go a step back further than that. He scored in the playoff semi-final. He's someone who knows how to contribute to a team that's fighting for something. And you mentioned the Shrewsbury game there. He's had a few little occasions like that where he's come in where we needed him. I think it was at Harrogate where he came off the bench. I think again, maybe in that midfield role. Of course it would be an away game, and he just made a massive impact. again, breaking up play, even getting forward. He was on the ball, he was doing well, and then
Yeah, it was Harrogate away because you remember he nearly set off Yusuf for that transfer. He did set off Yusuf.
yeah,
Nearly,
it was, yeah.
yeah.
And also, I know this was a game that we lost, so it doesn't quite fit the same mould. But Bromley, when they beat us 1-0,
Yeah.
he came into that game, started after not playing for a while, and I thought he had a really good game. And
Yeah.
that's all we really need from him. I mean, the off the pitch stuff, he's going to have that handled. On the pitch, he just needs to be that guy who can just come in every now and again if we need him to do a job. And for that kind of role, for someone who's going to be happy to have that kind of role, I don't know if there's really anyone I trust more than Lockyer that's realistic in a minute.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think, just that. Obviously, he's got that role that he plays centre back most, but he's we pretty much put him anywhere in the sort of defensive positions. He'll do a job if he's told to do it, and I think that's just a good player you can have around the squad. And I think we've sort of gone off on a bit of a tangent. The point you were making was that you want him to see him. Well, if we make any changes, you want to see him start on Saturday for a similar reason. And I can see that. I back it. I'm not going to say I'm desperate to see him start on Saturday, but I wouldn't complain. I could see him maybe potentially. I think we'll pretty much stick with our back line. I could potentially maybe see him, swapping with Mola for one game at CDM, potentially.
Yeah.
Or we might play a back five because we do that sometimes with Lockyer.
I mean, yeah, the whole wider conversation of who's going to be staying, who's going to be going, that's something we'll come back to at a later date.
Yeah,
in the off season. But yeah, I think it will be an interesting one. But I do agree. I don't think we should make too many changes. I think one name that I've seen chucked about a bit for this game is Luke Southwood, because he's someone who's going to be on his way, and I know that's kind of a thing when you play for a final game, you chuck your backup keeper in, and as far as backup keepers go, he's not exactly a bad one.
No, 100%.
I wouldn't be in any rush to force something like that.
No, I mean, I wouldn't be against seeing it. Obviously, I think Southwood's been harshly treated by the fans. I think he's nowhere near as bad as people say he is.
Yeah, we've both been on board with that all season, really.
Don't get me wrong. Now that Brad's come in and he's staked his claim as the number one, I'm not saying like, oh, we should drop Brad, he's terrible, Southwood's, but I think most people, I think it was Salford away, wasn't it? The first game that Brad came in for. And when that happened, most people were like, oh, thank God we finally got rid of Southwood. He's all this. And I think me and you were probably like one of maybe two out of maybe like 1% of the fan base that were like, why have we done this? Like, obviously,
yeah,
it's gone well.
He was someone who took a lot of the flack for a lot of shortcomings all around.
Yeah.
It's an easy scapegoat. When a team's not playing well. I mean, that's something you'll know from our Sunday league days.
Don't even get me started. We could make a whole podcast just about Hannam. We won't do that because no one will want to listen to it. But yeah, no, your point is right about scapegoating. When you've got a poor defence, and with the exception of you, to be honest, my goodness, did Hannam have a poor defence?
Yeah, well, we had some good defenders. They just never turned up.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're getting off track.
But it's true. The goalkeeper can get scapegoated a lot. I don't get me wrong. I don't think Southwood was anywhere near as good as I thought he would be when we signed him. But I think I still thought it was quite harsh when he got dropped. Obviously, Brad's made the position his own, and I'm now, with hindsight, very glad it's happened. But I mean, yeah, Southwood's not a bad number two to have. And I mean, I wouldn't be against him starting. I don't know whether I see it or not. I think it's one that could happen. And if it does happen, I'm not going to complain. But, I mean, just keep Brad in. I mean, why fix what's broken? I think that's kind of been our overriding theme for this Notts County preview. But it's true. I mean, you could make the same case for the last 7 previews. Why fix what's broken? And I think that's sort of what Steve needs to bear in mind. Obviously, he's got good options off the bench, so he can use them if he wants to. And those options can come in at the start and make an impact. But I don't think you've changed the core of the squad too much, because that could affect the performance. And I think at the end of the day, he's the sort of manager that will want to just end the season strong. He's got a record that is incredible with 8 wins in a row. It's going to be a tough game, but I think he'll see it as he'll relish the opportunity. especially, he seems like the type of guy that would really just love to stick it to a team that's like trying to fight for something. Just be the difference between them, finishing top three and not. And he would really love to just stick it to them and force them into the playoffs.
He's
So I think
always
that's
had that kind of air around him where he likes getting under people's skin. And I feel like we'll just see this as an opportunity to do that again.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And I think that's one reason why I think he'll want the team to just play to their strengths. And I think if we do, I can see it being another win, to be honest. Despite the fact that Notts County are the best team we've played in a while, we just look so good recently that, like, I feel like we could just beat anyone. I feel like if you chucked us, I mean, maybe this is a bit premature, but I feel like we would probably still finish really low. But I feel like if you chucked us in League One now, we would still, put up a fight. I think that's the sort of the quality that we're playing with at the moment. Like, obviously, that sounds a bit cocky, and obviously we are where we are for a reason. But I just mean that we're playing so well, and obviously we've been playing some pretty, easy teams in air quotes, but no team in this league is a fool. We've seen it. Like, I think the best example is the Barrow-Bromley game. Barrow had been so terrible, and they go to Bromley, have been unbeaten in 21, win that. If you're not on the top of your game, you lose. As simple as that. And I think we've just been playing so well recently that I don't see why we can't go and give Notts County a game.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, any team, especially the teams that have still got something to fight for, they can cause you problems. I mean, it's very nearly happened to us. It's taken some good work from us to avoid it. Especially, you look at Harrogate, is the one that stands out in that. But yeah, I think we'll be up for it. They will also probably be up for it. I think they'll want to, especially if they are most likely going into the playoffs, you always want to come in with that little bit of momentum behind you.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely not going to set it off, and I think we will try and match them on that. And then it just comes down to, we'll have it on the day. We've been in the better form, but they are coming into this off the back of a win.
Yeah.
So no, I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it will be a good game, and I think I was saying it against Cheltenham, and obviously you didn't really agree, and it sort of happened to be that way. I do think the start will be very important on Saturday, though. I think if we can get off to a good start, I think that will stand us in good stead. And because Notts County are that sort of team that, if you let them grow into a game, they can very easily take it away from you. So I think that's what we need to be looking to do, is just start well again. It's self-explanatory, but you start a game well, is you get that lead early on, and then you can build on it, and that's what we did on Saturday. If we could do that again, I think that'll probably be the best chance we've got of getting something.
Yeah, I think I did kind of disagree with you on that, but obviously we have seen now how important getting that early goal was against Cheltenham. I mean, I guess we'll never truly know, because obviously the result was as comprehensive. I never know how things would have gone if we didn't. But it was important. I think it will definitely be important here.
Yeah,
100%. When you're coming up against a side where, even if they're not playing at their best, they've got players that can cause you a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Sides, particularly in there. Is it Alassane Jatta up front?
Yeah, Jatta. Yeah.
A lot of problems if he gets going. Yeah, it will be about who gets off the mark quicker, 100%.
Well, I think that's true. Like, obviously, that if they're not even if they're not playing well, they're a playoff side, and you're not in the top 7 of the league without having some good players who can just turn it on like that. And we need to be aware of that. And I think, obviously, but that's the thing with us as well. We've got to the point where we've got good players who, even if we're not playing well, you think about Tranmere with a Camridge, he was just able to find that moment of magic like that and win us the game. So I think it could come down to individual moments as well, I think. Not just for us, but for Notts as well. All that the difference could just be one solo bit of brilliance, or even one mistake. It feels like that sort of game that could be close and decided by something like that.
Yeah, and we've got such a depth and quality going forward now as well. I think something worth mentioning about that Cheltenham game that we didn't touch on is it's our biggest win of the season. We won 4-0, and our top goal scorer didn't get on the pitch, I don't believe.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that is a very good point. Yeah, Cav didn't even touch the pitch. and we still managed to put 4 goals past them. And also, I want to touch, we're getting slightly back onto the Cheltenham review here, but the clinicality as well on Saturday. We had 4 shots on target, 4 goals.
Yeah, well, Joe Damon didn't make a save, so obviously Cheltenham were the better team because of that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, you know, he might have conceded 60 goals, but he didn't make a save. So
yeah, keeper didn't make a save. He probably would have helped if he did. But yeah, it was very, very clinical, and yeah, I think you've got to give him credit for that, especially when again your top goal scorer sat on the bench for the whole game.
Yeah,
that's the depth and quality we have now. I mean, you look at even in a creative sense that number 10 role. Tommy Lee's having to drop off when he was playing as well as he was in the 10. He's now almost become the third choice in that position.
Yeah.
Because you've got Yusuf Akamrich and Shaq Forward who can go there. Got Promise coming back in, getting back up to fitness, getting back up to speed. We've got such a depth and quality going forward at the minute that we have so many different players that can hurt teams.
Yeah, it's very true. And it's what I was saying about sort of the individual moments. Obviously, like we've got Shaq, we've got Yusuf, and they can just change a game from nothing. And I think that could be a big factor in whether we win or not on Saturday, especially if it's one of those games that sort of, gets into a bit of a lull. You need a player like that to be able to lift it, because I think it will be a close game on Saturday. And that could be the difference, is just that sort of little moment from a sort of Yusuf, a Shaq, that can be the difference between you taking those points or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was kind of skipping ahead there. I was thinking score predictions kind of off the top of my head. I'm going on a slightly different route. The way I kind of see the game going is a 2-0 Rovers in the kind of game where we score early and then kind of ride the storm and then get that second late on. That's so a bit like my vision in my head.
But like what Cheltenham was for the first half, except we don't have that little bit of a spell in the second half. Is that what you're kind of
what that could have been almost if we didn't get that before half time.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I've got pictures where they almost get a bit desperate. They're really trying to push, and then you can just again with that depth and attacking quality that we have, just go and punish them if they don't get it right.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that happening. Personally, though, I think it's going to be a bit closer than that. I think it's going to be, I've said it a few times, I think it is going to be a game that comes down to some sort of individual moment. I think we're going to play well, but so are NOTTS. NOTTS are going to be up for it. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-1. And I feel like we might nick it late. I feel like someone like, you know what, considering he's probably, well, there's some rumours that he might be staying next season, but I don't think he will. I'm going to say Yusuf gets his final goal for Rovers to win us the match 2-1, and that will make it 9 wins in a row to end the season. That would be a very lovely job.
Yeah, and I'm going to quickly touch on that as well. We will come back and probably talk about this properly at a later date. But the way Steve Evans talks, the fact he's now managing to almost slightly convince me that Yusuf might be staying is pretty incredible. That interview we did not too long ago, a couple of days ago. He's given me some hope there. He was talking almost as if he has Yusuf in his plans already moving forward. So you never know.
I mean, he is that sort of manager that could, with the pull, he's got the pull, and I think he's got such a good repertoire within the EFL that teams just trust him as well. Like especially even like those like teams like Spurs that bring players out to us. They trust him with their development, and I think. I mean, I still don't think Yusuf will stay, but I mean, it could be an attractive proposition for Spurs. We're going to be challenging. You'd like to think up the right end of League Two. He's only had half a season, I should say, sorry, in senior football. You give him that whole season to strut his stuff, and as well, in a slightly weird way, him being in a league that is too good for him, not too good for him, sorry, that he's too good for. Might be a good thing for him because he can just, get that confidence up. He can just bulldoze through, teams and players. And that might make him a better player come the end of it because he's got that confidence. And, obviously confidence can go into arrogance, but as long as you have the right dose of confidence, that can make you a very good player. And I feel like him playing, in a slightly poorer quality league, might be that thing, because then he can play better. Obviously, I still think he'd play well in League One, but he wouldn't play anywhere near as well as he would in League Two with us. That can, do wonders for his confidence, and then, Spurs might have an even better player on their hands.
Yeah, and I also think everything that's happened with Yusuf, it could almost be, I kind of look at someone like Elliot Anderson, where off the back of the work that we did with Elliot Anderson, off the back of the work that Joey Barton did with Elliot Anderson, it then got opened up. We had a lot more opportunities to bring in a lot of young players on loan because of how good some of the man management was. And I think that's been one of the key standouts is, I mean, you've seen Yusuf's parents recently were talking about how Steve Evans has almost felt like an honorary parent of Yusuf at times.
He always talks about, doesn't he? He talks about Shaq and Yusuf as his Rovers sons.
Yeah.
And I think that, it shows that he's just a very good man manager. And obviously the praise that Yusuf's parents have given him for how they've handled Yusuf during his loan spell, I mean, just speaks wonders, really.
Yeah. And the word can spread pretty quickly on things like this. And even if we don't necessarily keep Yusuf on, I think the opportunities could open up to get more players of a similar kind of quality. In a similar situation if they kind of pay attention to how Steve Evans has managed something like this.
Yeah, I think I think that was obviously, there was a lot of faults, but that was probably one of the best things about Jay was his allure. He could capture like younger players like Elliot Anderson. Obviously it didn't work, but like Kwanzaa, people like that. And we could be entering another, like you said, I agree with you, we could be entering another era at Rovers where we pick up players like that.
I mean, some of the players we had on loan, I mean, we had Kwanzaa, who's been playing in the Premier League. Bogart's been playing in the Premier League. Bobby Thomas is about to go and play in the Premier League.
Yeah.
We were able to have that attraction. And obviously Joey Barton did have that bit of a name behind him, which helped with that. But Steve Evans isn't exactly a nobody. And if he keeps
not at all.
He can do this to this standard, I do think this is the kind of thing that could continue.
And if anything, in terms of managerial, obviously Joey was much more famous as a player. In terms of managerial, Steve Evans is probably one of the most famous names in the league.
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely, at this sort of level, he's one of, the more well-known, had a lot of success behind him as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely something we can look for in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be it then for episode 3 of Rovers Rambles. Just before we go, just touch on the 10K again. Obviously, I talked about it last week, but the Just Giving is still up. Yeah, great. The Just Giving is still up. So if anyone could spare even a couple of pounds, that would be great. I'll leave the link in the Spotify. I don't think the YouTube links work quite yet because I don't think we're verified. But that's it for this week of Rovers Rambles. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for joining me, Jaimie.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll see you next week.